Welcome to VICTOBER week 2. It is day number 8 of VICTOBER and I am on schedule. Having said that, it is a self-enforced schedule. I am on schedule though with the VICTOBER buddy read, which is 2 chapters a day of Hester, and I have been reading 100 pages a day, which means that I have finished my first 2 books and I'm a third in of the third book. But today I'm also hosting reading sprints and I will be starting Ruth by Elizabeth Gaskell. I have been wanting to read for about 2 years now, so I'm really excited to start this one. I'm still massively enjoying Hester, even though the 2 main characters, so Hester and Catherine, don't have that many interactions. Feels a little bit Lizzie Bennet and Catherine the the conversation they have about her not marrying Mr. Darcy. That dynamic is very much those 2 women, and I am here for it. I've just finished chapter 16 and I definitely see the messiness, potential romances, but actually this book is not at all romantic. We see the effect of Catherine Furness's influence on the younger people. In the previous chapters we got to know a lot about the more older characters, the more established characters in the Vernery. We now see the younger characters struggling under Catherine's influence, and both in the person that Catherine is, but even more in the bank and money and making wise decisions. All of this is viewed from different perspectives throughout the book, and I feel like that gives the characters such complexity, and I'm really enjoying how the author is doing that. There are 2 main characters, male main characters, that in so many books they would just be like very flat characters. You would have a Darcy and a Wickham, but not with Jane Austen's wit, but just those characteristics, and these characters are so much more complex. I always enjoy it when a book is written in a way that we know more about the characters and the characters know about each other, and not just in some secrets that they have, but in the complexity of their character. So Hester is still enjoying it a lot. The second book I finished for VICTOBER was Moonfleet by J. Mead Faulkner. This book was published 3 years before the end of the Victorian era. I think this is definitely my latest Victorian book overall. This is I wouldn't want to say middle grade, but it's definitely written for boys. We meet a 15-year-old boy called John, and this is a historical fiction. It's set in the 18th century, about piracy, about adventure, about trying to find treasure, because John finds the grave of Blackbeard and gets obsessed with Blackbeard's treasure. The way this book is structured is that we have the mundane and the moralizing in between these adventures, and the adventures I think is what I like most about this book, because they take us to different places, not as much as I thought it would, but we get taken to different places. The stakes of these adventures are quite high and also heartbreaking. A lot of things happen that have a lot of emotional strings, but the thing that I definitely did like about this book is the writing. It tries to be very grand without that really having a place in this book, and it's just in the way of you getting to enjoy the plot and getting to engage with the wild and kind of well-written adventures. We get these moralizing bits and this dialogue that, first of all, it doesn't age well, but that's okay because it's an old book, but it also just isn't very interesting and it's overly complicated, and it gets you out of the rhythm of the book in general. So overall I like the adventures, but I was a bit underwhelmed by the pacing and the structure of this book, so I'm giving it a 3 star. That is it for reading so far. I'm very excited to finish Ruth in, let's see what schedule I've made. I'm supposed to finish this in 5 days, so that means that after that I have 2 more days left this week's vlog, and I want to also read The Romance of the Shop because that's a novella. I think I will also split that in 2 days, so then hopefully by the end of this vlog I can give you a review of Ruth and of The Romance of the Shop by Amy Levy, which is one of the books I got, I think, next to A Tale of Two Cities, most comments about, that people were curious if it would be a recommendation, how I would feel about it, because I picked that one for the underrated female author, which of course was one of my favorite prompts. Ruth fits for a lot of prompts. A lot of people are reading this, by the way, which I'm loving, because it's not a group read or anything very often mentioned, but because it's so useful for so many prompts. A lot of people have picked this. I think I did it for the prompt in change of class, and I would say I read for the historical fiction prompt A Tale of Two Cities, but Moonfleet would also work on that if you're reading that or if you're planning to read that, because it's also set in another century. I've prepared some games for tonight's prints. I have dressed up a little bit historically. I think like I did my hair the same way as I did for the announcement and my TBR video. It didn't work as well. I don't think any Victorian woman would be got that with this hairstyle, but I do love these other earrings I got through Vinted. And this is the dress from Joni Clothing that I talked to you about in last week's vlog. Right, time to start reading. It is VICTOBER day 9. I am up to date with all of my Hester chapters, which again, still really enjoying, still really feel the tension building between the characters. I still don't know, like, plot-wise, how this is going to all come together, how it's going to resolve. Because I definitely see the connection with Jane Austen. I'm expecting some romance solutions in the end of the book, but I cannot really see how exactly that will unfold, although we're getting some hints. Yes. I'm having a good time still with Hester. I did some readings with yesterday and read the first 80 pages of Ruth by Elizabeth Gaskell. So in Ruth we follow a 16-year-old orphan who the money that her father left to some rich man to take care of her. She was apprenticed at, I think, a school for girls where they learn to sew and become seamstresses. It's a really tough life because they get very little sleep, they work very hard, and we already see like the big class divide between the people they make the garments for and how they're complaining and that they're so slow, while we see that they work day and night to get the garments ready in a big room with very little light, very little ventilation. Feels a little bit like the school setting with Jane Eyre, because you also have a bit of an Helen Burns-like character. I'm enjoying this. And then we met a higher class man, and we know that this book is about Ruth becoming a fallen woman, but he is 23, she is 16, and I love that Elizabeth Gaskell commented on that. She said, like, compared to Ruth, he's an old man, but he's not actually an old man. Like, I picked this for class because I knew Ruth would go through a class change because she is described as a fallen woman, but class is such a big part of this book. I think you can easily expect from Elizabeth Gaskell, but I think it's very poignant in this book especially. And because Ruth, in the beginning of the book, she's a seamstress, I thought this would be a good opportunity. I want to do different Victorian activities, but one of the things I wanted to do is to mend and reuse some clothes that I have that I cannot wear in the state that they're in now, but that I really like in some shape or form. And of course that's something people before like 1950, 1960 would do all the time, mend their clothes. They wouldn't have a lot of clothes. Like, the amount of clothes we have now is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I can go into a whole tangent on workers' rights, on the environment when it comes to clothing and fabrics, especially I think with the Empire Spotting Proms. I'm now thinking about how the Victorians view this, and then I'm like, we're not that much better right now. They may have gotten their fabrics from countries that they would colonize and then have the fabrics made into garments in factories where workers had really poor conditions. Those factories still very much exist, but just not in Western Europe anymore. We just get the garments made to us. I've always been troubled by that, but I've never really been able to know how to deal with it, especially as someone who needs plus size clothing, which it sounds so ridiculous because why is it called plus size, but whatever. It's called plus size in retail. Up until now, I feel like the last couple of years it has definitely improved. You weren't really able to get plus size clothing with smaller indie brands. Plus size clothing in general was hard to get, but like the only ones who really made it were brands that weren't necessarily very ethical, and now you have Vinted as well. It's easier to get secondhand clothing, but I've always been someone who tries to mend their clothing. So I'm gonna show you two pieces that I want to do something with so that I can wear them again and that they will not become part of a landfill, because these are two items that I cannot sell on Vinted as they are. The first one I cannot really sell or recycle is because I partly made it myself, and I made the embroidery of this little vest myself, and it's not like neat or professional enough to like actually sell on Vinted. But I made this a few years ago and it needs alteration so that I fit it again. I still really love it and I think it works really well with my style in general. But my plan is to cut this seam open right here on the side, use some fabric to make the garment a bit bigger. So I'm gonna look in my fabric stash and hopefully find something green that would be nice. Like, I could try and use like similar fabric as this, but then it's so obvious that it's altered. You might as well make it super obvious and make it cute with some extra color. So that's one garment. And another garment, this is a Lucy and Yak skirt. Fits me perfectly. I actually have it in another color as well. I don't know if you can see, but it got washed wrong, so all the colors from here down are, I don't know if you can see, but they're all dulled and it's just not pretty anymore to wear. But because it's so comfortable and it fits so well, I bought a lot of scraps of fabric in the same color family. I don't have it right here, but it's all a bit of a beige, light brown with a lot of cute patterns. This skirt is made in a way that it almost looks, I don't think you can see it on camera, but it almost looks like patchwork. So my idea is cut this up and to use it as a pattern and to make a patchwork skirt in this size. I might keep just the elastic. I don't know if I will, because the fabric is still great in the elastic. I don't know if I want to cover it maybe so that it fits the skirt a bit more, but it's gonna be patchwork, so it's gonna be wild anyways. But yeah, I think this is a great pattern because it fits me so well, so comfortable. It has pockets, so that's great to have in a pattern as well. So this one is definitely gonna be more work because I need to like sketch out where everything goes exactly. And I do have the other skirt. It's the exact same skirt but in a different color. So I might need to get some more fabric from my stash, secondhand somewhere, to really make sure that I get enough fabric, because I would like to make one that's a little bit longer because I'm quite tall. Especially my legs are just really tall. While they fit great, I always feel like they could do with like 5 centimeters more on the bottom. I will do that later this week, I think. And this is definitely less intimidating because I've done things like this before. So I'm gonna start with this. Try and add some b-roll of me doing this. I'll try. I've noticed that a lot of people are reading Ruth right now. And I will say, reading the first few chapters of Ruth is not a recommendation for going to sew. It makes one generally very grateful for sewing machines. I don't know how to do this in a faster way than with this little tool I have. I'm sure there are better tools, but like, it is working. See, it's coming loose. To make sure that I'm not ruining my embroidery, which is the whole reason I want to alter this garment. Little vest gilet thing. I was thinking of going to the Charles Dickens Museum this Saturday, so that may also be in this vlog. I went there with Mary 2 weeks ago now, and I was so excited to be there with Mary that I like didn't look properly at everything they had. So I might go there this Saturday. Oh look, it's going so much faster now. I think I may have to cut into this, because I think that's one piece. This is going well. Woo! Right, this is it without the sides. I need boys' help to make sure it's like this. And then I can measure how much I need to add on both sides. It'll be nice to wear this again. Yay! I'm not yet sure like what I want to do. This or the dark green. I think this is like much cooler, but the great thing about this is that it has a slight stretch. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go for the green.
Became the leading proponent and proselytizer of the cause. By 19th century workers is that the hot versions finish the hit.
Something interesting in this book, How to Be a Victorian. I'm listening like by chance on a chapter on sewing, and it says that it was made more economical sense in the early Victorian era to buy expensive fabrics that would last a long time because everything was still hand sewn. So the sewing, the labor was so expensive, of course, and so labor intense that it made more sense to not have to do that very often and buy very durable, expensive fabrics, so that whatever was made and you paid the labor for will be durable a very long time. And most people in the countryside actually bought second-hand clothing. I don't think I would say ever like, let's go back to the Victorian era, but when it comes to clothes, I definitely think we need a newer approach. I'm really enjoying doing this. Green is working, I like it. It's a bit loose, thin layer under this. And I would like to be able to maybe wear a thin cardigan under it. So there's a lot of space here as well right now, which is really nice. But there's also enough space here and in the back to wear a cardigan with it. Mostly something I would wear with a skirt or a dress. The pins are pricking my sides. This is gonna work, I think. Welcome to the part I most hate about sewing. And that is getting this thing. I didn't have any green thread or brown thread thread anymore. So I used this kind of yellow that is also on the embroidery, so that if you see a bit of it, it will at least match. How do I do this? I always do this wrong. Every time I will do it wrong a few times. I haven't used my sewing machine in a while. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then you have to go like this and hope it works. Yes. Oh my gosh. I did it right the first time. Who is she? I can confidently say that that has never happened before. I'm always nervous when I start. Did I make many mistakes? Yes. Does it look great? Not really. But it is a place where you put your arm, so I feel like maybe it doesn't matter that much. So poorly done. But I don't have it in me to do the other side as well today. So see you tomorrow. It needs many finishing touches. Oh, I think it's even on the bigger side. Oh, it definitely even have some extra space and the stretch is definitely there. So now I can wear this again. Woo! I did end up finishing the other side as well yesterday evening. It did not go well, and a big part of that was just me finding with my sewing machine, because I just had a little bit of the yellow thread and I was constantly running out and it was annoying. I redid the spool so many times, always underestimating how much thread you actually need. I tried to do some hand sewing this morning while listening to my chapters of Hester. It's acceptable, it's wearable, it fits like I showed yesterday, but I decided to embroider a green line because the yellow just, I mean, it was pretty, but because I ran out, it wasn't neat. I did a little bit of the green here as well. Still need to fix like this, which I don't know what went wrong exactly, but I'll fix it with some embroidery thread. Yeah, this is definitely a case of good enough. And I could, oh, I need to fix this buttonhole as well, I see. I could try and fix a lot of this, but then I will definitely not have any time this week to also make the skirt. So while Ruth would have been fired for sure if she had shown this, I'm just gonna go with good enough. I didn't read as many pages of Ruth as I wanted to yesterday because I was doing all the sewing. I read about 50 pages. I'm interested in the story. The dialogue is more politically charged than the story itself. I don't know how exactly the characters are going to interact and what is going to happen. I know this book is getting more tragic and fatiguing as it goes on. The kind of best case scenario we're now seeing it is not gonna hold up. I can definitely see it. So while I'm a bit nervous, I'm also just really excited to read it. The little hints in the dialogue and inner monologue that Elizabeth Gaskell gives in her own opinion in the matter, it's very interesting. I'm really enjoying those little hints. Overall, just a good fast read. It's very entertaining, quite sensational. Also almost finished watching Middlemarch, and the second half of this series definitely is more interesting because the plot is plotting. I don't remember reading Middlemarch that well. It was a few years ago since I read it, so some parts I feel like, wait, didn't the book take way more time for this certain event, and how is now the rest of the series going to fill up? Because yes, Middlemarch is a big book, but these are also 6 or 8 episodes of almost an hour long, so they have time to do the whole book. Once I finish the series of Middlemarch, I want to watch Vanity Fair from 2018 because Kate recommended that to me, and I am excited to watch something a bit more modern in a sense that when it was made, because like the pacing is often a bit faster, which I can appreciate. But yeah, I hope to read a bunch of Ruth today. Fingers crossed. It is VICTOBER day 12. I didn't talk to you yesterday because life was just taking over. It was that kind of day where you have plans and then things happen and then you think, okay, I'll deal with this, and then I'll do my thing, and then another thing happens. And then you have to deal with that before you can do your thing, and then it's evening. Yesterday, no vlogging, but I did read more of Ruth. Having said that, I'm exactly one day behind with this book. It's not because of the book, it's just because life keeps happening. The book itself, I'm really enjoying. This is how far I am in now, on page 235. I don't really see Elizabeth Gaskell's voice very necessarily in this book. I do feel this could have been written by anyone, and where I do see more Elizabeth Gaskell is in the more religious parts. I've discovered for myself that I can quite enjoy those bits in classic literature, not so much in contemporary literature. For example, Krisin Lavrensdatter is very religious, but in a way that it is so incredibly meaningful for the main character. And I feel like in this book, in Elizabeth Gaskell's writing, it is more meaningful for a potential reader, for the author herself, or for the morale of the book, than that it is meaningful or helpful for the characters. Because I think when religion takes up a big space of a book, me, I enjoy it when it's done because it's incredibly meaningful for the character and it builds towards the general character development and to you getting to know the character and understanding the character, which again, Krisin Lavrensdatter by Sigrid Undset really has that element in it. While there are definitely some parts with Christianity and morality that have a different meaning for different characters, especially between the brother and the sister in this book, I found it very shocking bit when it comes to parenting the young boy that is eventually born in this book. There's a very shocking scene in there, and the morality of right and wrong. Elizabeth Gaskell did a really good job because she both used religion, gender and class in that discussion, even though it was just 2 or 3 pages, and it's very show not tell. So I thought that was geniusly done, even though I hated reading it. We have Sally, a servant in this book, who is very interesting. She's not very likable, but her actions are very much in favor of everyone. Everything she does drives other people forward, helps other people, but she is very blunt, she's very outspoken, so it's in a bit of a unique way, and I'm enjoying Sally. I don't know if we'll see much more of her. The role she's had in certain periods of the characters' lives is very interesting. I feel the tragedy looming in this book in a not so enjoyable way. From another perspective, Ruth is a victim of different things and she has done the best that she can, and I think she has done really, really well. From a Victorian lens, she is more guilty than a victim. There are no laws protecting a woman like Ruth in this era, so I'm a little bit afraid of what might happen in this book, and I definitely want to talk to other people about this. When it comes to Hester, the chapters have been a bit slower. I guess they're necessary because a lot of characters are contemplating their choices. Is it very entertaining? Is the plot being driven forward? Not really, but it's okay. Like 2 chapters a day, it's fine. I just read the first chapter of today and then I'll read the second chapter in a bit, because today is the day I'm finally going to make time to start the skirt. I think it will be a 2-day project because I did watch a tutorial on YouTube. If you're a millennial, you always do whenever you try something new. I don't think I've ever tried something without watching a YouTube tutorial because that's just insanity. And I got some great tips. So the skirt that I had, I will not necessarily use as a pattern, but I will use its measurements. Don't know if I have enough fabric, but I'm going to start. And if I don't have enough fabric, I might order some extra online or see if I can visit the thrift store for a little bit more. But yeah, let's get started with making the skirt. I keep forgetting to mention empire spotting. I lost my notebook, which has all those very helpful notes about it. But in Ruth, I think the biggest empire spotting so far is fabrics. We talk a lot about silk, which of course came from India and China, I believe. It's an important part of Ruth's income, and I do also believe that there are a few male characters who have like made their fortune in a sense that they are rising up in the world with certain opinions, and I'm talking about Mr. Bradshaw and another character. It's not really discussed in detail or just glossed over it. It's possible how they have made their fortune, but usually in this time period it's probably tied to the empire. And then with Moonfleet, it's very clear, like so many things. We have Blackbeard and piracy, and generally I think ships is a really big part of the empire. Of course, there is the sense of imprisonment and being sent to colonies. That particular case in Moonfleet, it's not the British Empire, but I feel like if you have the Dutch Empire, but that's all connected to each other because a big part of like the empire was competing with other European countries. So that again ties into it. Moonfleet is also about smuggling and a lot about drink. And I don't know, I felt like a lot of drink came from Scotland to England, but I'm not sure about that. Also, if you talk about Scotland, it's also about the empire. Oh, that's what I want to say about Ruth. Wales is also a big part of this book. A big part of this book is set in Wales. I'm gonna have to continue like this because my memory card is full and I want to do other things today. So I don't know a lot about Wales and its history. Great chance for me to learn, but it's definitely tied to the empire and to Queen Victoria, and there's a lot of discussion as well. A lot of people didn't speak English but only Welsh, Welsh, but only Welsh. So more empire spotting. This is all the fabric I have. I think it will be a fabulous skirt though. But I need 15 of these for the pattern that I made. So I did choose to cut out a piece to make a pattern from paper, because the lady in the video had a lot more tools than I do. Will be the prominent fabric, because this one I have most of. Still have a bit of the green, which I mean it's gonna be fun if I wear this together with the vest that I made, then it has some matchy things. And these are just some scraps, but they have such lovely autumnal patterns, so I felt like it will be perfect for this project. These aren't big, so I think it will be just one square of each of this fabric, but we'll see. I'm nervous. Okay, it's not that bad. Like, I can already make 2 from this very pretty brown. And what I like about this fabric, it has these edges, so I will have to sew it, but it won't let loose. I don't know the English word, but yes. Ooh, I'm excited. Right, I have a few smaller ones that will definitely just be, or not even, yes, it's exactly one of both of these, but I think it's nice. I think I will definitely, you need to make a front and a back of this pattern, and I will definitely pick my favorites for the front, because that's the side I see. The back is no one's business.
Shots of a seductress resplendent in corset and drawers.
This might be my favorite. Look how intricate it is. I'm getting way more use out of these few scraps than I thought I would. I got 11 squares out of just some few fabric scraps I got on Vinted. That makes me happy. Alright, and then I will do the last 4 just of this one, and then I'm not gonna use the green so that this can be combined with any kind of color, because if I add the green then I can really wear like a red or blue top. I can wear any color that slightly matches with brown. I'm so excited. I will have to iron a few of these to make sure everything is nice and straight. Yep, yay! I am excited, can you tell?
Contrasting their healthy behaviour with the propensity of some men to leave themselves exposed. Here's my own figure would be described as corpulent.
Let's count. I need 18, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14, 15. I am so lucky. This is the last bit I have, and I think I can get exactly 4 out of it. I do have these scraps left for the waistband. Fingers crossed. If I have measured everything correct, which I probably haven't, because you know I'm me, this is like 1 row, which is just 3 other row. It's this, and then one of the pretty ones. So this is the first one I'm going to sew, and it's time for a lunch break. Right, a whole afternoon of sewing later. Need to make sure I'm labeling every strip so that I can assemble it tomorrow. I had to make sure that everything it's like lined up in a way that you don't get the same fabrics vertically. It's a lot. It's a lot of fabric. I had 2 spaces where I would only have one of these in a row. So I used scraps of the scraps to make these kind of squares, which I actually think is really pretty. These are for the back. Maybe I'll switch around the back and the front, because how pretty is this? So I have 3 of these panels for the front and the back. And I'm gonna assemble it tomorrow because I need to do some grocery shopping, make dinner for the rest of the day. And then tomorrow I'm gonna assemble this, make the waistband, cut the pockets out of this one, and assemble them in this dress, and then make the hem and any final touches. So I think I can finish that tomorrow, because while this was not the most difficult thing to do, it's most of the labor. Yeah, hopefully I didn't make too many mistakes and I have a good day tomorrow. Welcome to day 2 of sewing. I read a lot of Ruth yesterday, which, oh my gosh, I had so many feelings about my reading experience that I just kind of didn't know what to do with myself, because it's both progressive and regressive at the same time. With the Fallen Woman's Robe, finding sympathy for that character in a Victorian novel is unique in itself. Feeling that a character or that a woman like that has done something wrong in itself, or something, at least I personally think, and I hope most modern people would think she didn't. Beautiful, sympathetic idea in this book that she would deserve a second chance. I'm like, a second chance from what? Having that experience at 16 means you start life out -1. And you need actually way more opportunities than that. That stayed with me for a while. And the book does also make me emotional, because the whole concept of it takes a village is so beautifully portrayed. And even with my modern opinions, I cannot see a better outcome for Ruth than she had in the circumstances we're having so far. Still need 60 pages or have 70 pages to read. The book is like 370 pages and I read up until page 300. I've not listened to my daily pages of Hester yet. The book Hester did finally come in. So what I'm doing right now is a tip I saw in the tutorial I watched, and that is to fold your seams one way, and then like I will do the first row to the right and then the second row to the left, so that you don't get a very bulky part of your skirt. So I'm wearing this little vest that I got on Vinted today. I don't find it very easy to style in an outfit, but it's so nice and warm, it's so comfortable. And I did want to wear a pair of leggings and a dress today, so that I could very easily fit this, because if I wore jeans today, then I have to take off my jeans constantly to try and fit this. This isn't going super well, but I'm trying my best. I also finished watching Middlemarch. Last 2 episodes I found way more entertaining, but then certain characters definitely didn't get their time to shine, which I found very annoying. And other characters had a lot of opportunity to be really annoying. I don't know if I think this is the only adaptation of Middlemarch, I'm not entirely sure. But I'm not a massive fan. I will have to say, usually when I'm sewing, I don't do all the ironing and stuff, because like the work. I like this pattern so much. And I'm constantly doubting myself. I'm afraid I'll mess it up. So I just do every step. Right, so all these seams are, at least the ones who are willing to listen, been ironed to the right. And then the one beneath that, and I'll make sure they are ironed to the left. Okay, I'll show you the right way. Front 1. Yes. Oh, oh my gosh. How cool is this? So this is just the front. Like this with the waistband. This will be the length. So cool. Woo. Right, and the back panel. I definitely love this. This is so cute. It was a lot of work because I had to like fray the edges, or I don't know what it's called to do this, but you have to go all the way around the sides to make sure fabric stays in place and everything. Oh my gosh, this one on the bottom. So cute. Like you can see there's some overlapping here because I had to make do, of course. But then this is gonna be the back. To do right now is the most important step. Make pockets. And after I make the pockets, which isn't supposed to be very difficult, I will attach the front and the back to each other, and then the difficult bit starts. I don't know if I have it in me to also do that today, but I will do the pockets today. Woo. So I have to fray every single one of this as well. I'm so excited. I like that this is a stretchy fabric. It's nice for pockets, isn't it? To have a bit of a stretch.